This is the ZTE Nubia Air, which is the very first iPhone Air alternative that you can buy here in Malaysia if you want a super thin and light phone that doesn't break the bank. Of course, this one costs 4,000 ringgit lesser than the iPhone Air and isn't exactly a direct competitor in many aspects. But still, it isn't a terrible device and has a few things that impress as a budget lightweight smartphone. So here's my review about it after using for a week. The Nubia Air is not as thin as the iPhone Air with a 5.9mm body profile, and it weighs 7 grams heavier than the iPhone Air at 172 grams. But that is still really impressive considering it has a much larger 6.78-inch display and a 5,000 mAh battery inside. And this impressive body profile makes handling the phone much easier than most similar screen-sized phones. The phone's build quality is also really decent, and I'm impressed that ZTE gave it an aluminum frame that makes the phone really premium. It has a plastic back with a frosted material that resists fingerprints well. But most importantly, it has 3 water resistance ratings of IP68, IP69 and IP69K, which means it can resist hot temperature, high pressure water jets better and can be submerged in water better than the iPhone Air. And this is just so impressive, and it's a kind of durability that you don't get on similar class phones. The Nubia Air features a 1.5K resolution AMOLED screen with a 120Hz refresh rate. This display is super bright and can go up to 4500 nits when watching HDR content, which is really good for binge watching movies on the go. Though sadly, it doesn't come with Widevine L1 certification, which you can't stream full HD content on Netflix. Also, what's disappointing is the mono loudspeaker, which sounds too sharp and doesn't have any bass, which is sadly a compromise for having a slim body and large battery. The Nubia Air is powered by a Unisoc T8300 processor with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. You unfortunately can't expand the storage, which most mid-range phones can do, and in this case, I would rather trade the second SIM slot for that if its slimness is the compromise that it needs. Performance is fine for mid-range phone standards where there's very minimal stutters when switching between apps. Gaming performance is also fine if you don't push graphics setting. The MyOS skin based on Android 15 is good and isn't infested by ads, though you get a couple of preloaded apps and games that can be removed. Though, like most mid-range Nubia phones, ZTE hasn't committed a software update policy for this phone, which in most cases you are just going to get one major OS upgrade on this phone and you're going to live with it for the rest of its lifespan, which is something that ZTE should actually do because this is actually a pretty good device and I hope it gets at least 2 or 3 years of software updates. The Nubia Air features a triple camera setup on the back, but only the 50MP wide camera is usable, and it is complemented by a 2MP depth sensor and an auxiliary sensor. The camera takes fine-looking photos like what you would expect from a mid-range device. I would consider this to be usable for very casual photo shoots, but really don't expect this to be as good as the more expensive and capable iPhone Air's 48MP camera. The selfie camera, however, is pretty good and takes 20MP stills with really nice skin tones. With a 5,000 mAh battery, the Nubia Air is simply a 2-day battery phone when used moderately with 3 hours of screen on time in a day. I haven't had any battery anxiety when using for the past week, and when battery runs low, it supports 33W USB PD charging and gets fully charged in an hour from single-digit battery levels. Overall, the Nubia Air is a pretty fun phone to own if you want to experience a super thin and lightweight phone without breaking the bank and not worry about battery life. And for just 899 ringgit, it is impressive considering it has a really robust build, decent performance for a mid-range phone, and most importantly, a large battery for its slim body profile. So yeah, that's all for my thoughts and my review of the ZTE Nubia Air. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below and whether you will be getting one if it is available in your market. As for now, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.